From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine, everybody. It is Wednesday night. John Burton with you. Happy to have you here with us. You can give us a call, 615-737-7767. You can follow me on Twitter at NC5_John Burton or at John Burton32. Either one of those Twitter handles is fine. We're going to be talking, obviously, a lot about the Titans today as they prepare for Sunday's game against the Carolina Panthers. The 8-0 Carolina Panthers, one of the surprises of the league. Let me be, though, before we get into all that, let me be among the many to wish a very happy Veterans Day, a very special day. And any veteran that wants to call in and share what Veterans Day means to them. I know this is a sports show, but we want to honor our veterans today as we've been doing all day here on News Channel 5 Plus and over on News Channel 5. We'd love to hear from the veterans today. A very special day for all of us, including myself. My father, who's now deceased, served 20 years in the United States Air Force. He served during the Korean conflict. So a special place in my heart for all veterans, and some of you may have been watching Open Line just a few minutes ago, and we just had a great show with Ben Hall about supporting our veterans, not only here locally here in Nashville, but all over the United States. And so a very happy Veterans Day to all our veterans out there. Enjoy the day, and thank you all for all you've done, veterans past and present, to serve our country and protect our freedom and make this the greatest country in the United States. And one of the reasons why this is such a great country, great Americans, like my first guest at this time from TitansOnline.com, our buddy Jimmy Wyatt. Jimmy, I know you're busy. Thanks for giving us a few minutes. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How you doing, JB?
I'm doing fantastic. All right. You've got kind of a unique perspective now that you're working for the organization. You're in the building. You see a lot, maybe not everything, but you see a lot of what goes on. From your perspective, what was last week like in terms of the emotions from the firing of Ken Whisenhunt on Tuesday and the naming of Mike Mularkey as the interim head coach? Then they go down to New Orleans on Sunday and win in overtime in dramatic fashion. Certainly one of the most emotional weeks probably in the history of the Tennessee Titans. What was it like from your perspective? What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely an emotional week for, you could tell by the way, everyone reacted after the game. I mean, you don't see head coaches in the NFL, getting teary-eyed after a regular season win like you saw Mike Mularkey did after the game. And I don't know if you watched the post-game celebration. It's on TitansOnline.com. It just shows the locker room and people get so excited, and the coach and Mike Mularkey struggling to find his words. I mean, I think that was a build-up of emotions that started, last week. I mean, Mike Mularkey and Ken Whisenhunt go back 20, 25 years. They've known each other for a long time. Ken Whisenhunt brought him here. He promoted him during the off season when other teams were interested in interviewing him. He blocked teams from doing that because he wanted to keep him here. He valued him as a coach and as a friend. And then Ken Whisenhunt is, the way it goes down is the team asked Mike Mularkey, are you interested in being the interim coach when we part ways with Ken Whisenhunt? And he has to give his answer there. When he said, yeah, he knows how the business works. Then the next step is to let Ken Whisenhunt know that, we're parting ways with you. That's just the way it goes when you have an interim coach situation. So Mike Mularkey steps in for his buddy, takes over the team. Certainly, team rallied behind Mularkey. Guys like Mularkey. There's no question about that. And I think just winning that game the way that the team did, capped off a very emotional week, and I think just kind of flooded in the locker room. You could tell.
Jimmy Wyatt is our guest. You can follow him at @JWyattSports. He, of course, from TitansOnline.com, the great website, the official website of the Tennessee Titans. Jimmy, from your perspective, where did it go wrong with Ken Whisenhunt?
Well, I think he was just to be frank, I mean, he was kind of stubborn in a lot of things that he did, especially with protection, and not willing to make adjustments when they needed to be adjusted. I mean, you can't have your quarterback get hit. Mariota was sacked 19 times in 5 stars. Mettenberger obviously was sacked 7 times in that game in Houston. He wasn't willing to adjust things from a protection standpoint. he just, his philosophy was to use a number of running backs and maybe kind of got away from just a downhill running scheme. And, and I just think he just is he's a hard-line guy. I like Ken Wisenhunt. I think certainly he was invested and did everything he can to help the team win. But he's kind of a my way or the highway type guy, and he expects players to be professionals and to get the job done, and wasn't a lot of warm and fuzzy about him. And you can win that way, but when you don't win that way, it makes things tense. And this team went 3-20 with Ken Wisenhunt, and I think at the end it just didn't seem like things were getting any better, and that's why people, when he got fired, said it was too early. But why part ways with a guy just 2 years into a 5-year deal? Where it was clear things weren't getting any better, and I just think ownership felt like there's still a chance to salvage the season and see what we have in Mike Mularkey moving forward, and that's why the move was made when it was made.
Yeah, you mentioned this. I mean, one man's firing is another man's opportunity. In steps Mike Mularkey, and so far so good. He already has over 30% of Ken Wisenhunt's total win total when he was here with last week's win over the Saints. Obviously, the Titans are going to do an extensive search to find their new head coach. But, if the Titans show improvement and win some games and maybe get back in this AFC South race, which is amazing to say that 2-6, they're still very much in it, as you know. How much could that boost Mike Mularkey's chances of getting the head coaching job? And from where you sit, does he want the job?
Well, he definitely wants the job, and he said so himself. I mean, he coached 2 years in Buffalo, and then the way things played out there, his tenure was up, quickly, and then went to Jacksonville and really kind of got the raw end of the deal down there. He took over a bad roster and was, there for just a year, and then when he left, I think he felt like he may never get a chance again. I mean, it's hard to get opportunities to be a head coach in the league, and so he's made it clear that he wants the job, and this is a great chance for him to audition for the job. And I think he is a realistic candidate if this team has success here in the second half of the season and wins a number of games. I mean, people ask me how many games does he have to win to get the job. I don't know that there's a set number of games he has to win, but
right.
It has to show improvement, has to show that the quarterback's getting better, has to continue to build relationships inside the building, and has to kind of endear himself to the ownership group, which you can tell already likes him just from watching, observing them from a distance. You can tell that they seem to have taken a liking to him. So, I mean, he's got a good chance to do it, and also keep in mind, I mean, I think this ownership group likes Rustin Webster and would like for him to be around here, not only to pair him with the head coach, but to help continue things in the direction they're going now. And if you're looking for a new head coach, you're probably looking for a new GM.
Right.
And so I think that's part of it too. I mean, if you bring somebody else from the outside, you're pretty much blowing the thing up and starting over. If you stick with Mike Mularkey and you like the direction things are going with him, then it's not going to be that dramatic a change next year. And if the team continues to play like it did Sunday, they don't need to have that dramatic of a change.
No question about it. We're talking with Jimmy Wyatt from TitansOnline.com. Follow him on Twitter at @JWyattSports. Jimmy, Marcus Mariota comes back from his injury. 4 touchdown passes, no picks. Becomes, I believe, only the second NFL quarterback ever to throw for over 350 yards, 4 touchdowns with the game-winning touchdown pass in overtime. I believe Dante Culpepper was the only other one to do that. What a performance for him. And I hope Titans fans are realizing, look, things with the team may not be all that great, but you have your franchise quarterback for the next 10, maybe 15 years if he stays healthy. This guy's got an opportunity to be something really special in this league, doesn't he?
Well, it's remarkable the poise that he shows to be in his first year and just playing in his 6th NFL game. I mean, the guy just turned 22 years old last month, and he's never been in an overtime game before. And he's coming off a knee injury where he's missed 2 games, and he was pretty much flawless, in the second half of that game. And with the game on the line, he just I mean, he's the kind of guy that you want to build the team around, and because players like him, he's he's committed. He's not a guy that was out on Bourbon Street on Saturday night drinking hand grenades. I mean, he
hurricanes and the like.
Yeah, I mean, he's a committed kid, and he's such a humble kid, and it almost seems too good to be true.
Yeah.
But I can tell people that he's not. I mean, this kid is very genuine. I mean, I happen to walk, just an example of how he is. I mean, a guy wins the game with dramatic back. You can tell he's embarrassed and almost tries to deflect the attention off of him. I happen to be walking at the Superdome. When you leave, you have to go from one locker room. You have to walk all the way across the field to get to where the buses go to go to the airport. And I happen to be walking across the field with him. And there were a bunch of Saints fans that were throwing the ball, kids probably 10, 12 years old. And here comes Marcus Mariota walking across the field. And they're there playing on the field. Their parents are there. You can tell that they're kind of awestruck and we're wanting to say something to them, but we're too shy and embarrassed to do it. And Mariota goes out of his way to say, hey, and introduces himself to these kids and gets to ask them if they want to take a picture with him. I think these kids' parents were just shocked. This guy was being so accommodating to them, but that's the kind of guy he is, and he's definitely somebody that the team can build around. They just got to protect him, keep him from getting beat up like he did in some games earlier this year, and just kind of continue to build around him. He can be a great player.
Yeah, he reminds me so much of Troy Polamalu in terms of the humility and some of the things that he does on the field to make you go, wow, yeah, definitely at times seems too good to be true. Of course, he was named AFC Offensive Player of the Week for the second time this season. All right, Jimmy, as we turn the page, we got the 8-0 Carolina Panthers coming in. I'm a big fan of Cam Newton. I have been since day one. I can't believe I'm asking this, but, there's a lot of, I don't want to say doubt about the Carolina Panthers, but maybe a wait-and-see type attitude. Based on what you've seen, are they for real at 8-0?
Well, I mean, you look at, they're impressive the way they've been able to win close games and kind of the grit that they play with. But look at their games. They have been close in a lot of games. They've figured out a way to pull them out. They're not blowing people out. They were blowing Green Bay out up until the end of that game, and they nearly blew it at the end. They're a good team. They remind me a lot, to be honest with you, of the 99 Titans. Newton, in a lot of ways, like McNair. They got a good running game, and they've got a good defense, and they just find a way to win games, kind of like that Titans team did. Don't necessarily blow you away with some, in any particular category, but it's just a gritty team. And I remember people continued to doubt that Titans team all the way to, a 13-3 finish. So it's a winnable game for the Titans. That they won that game in New Orleans in large part because they won the turnover battle, for the first time since week 1 at Tampa when they won. So Titans have to continue to, win the turnover battle. They gotta find a way to, to win a game at home. And it's just crazy how long one game at home over the last 1.5 seasons. That's
yeah.
They're certainly due there. So it's a winnable game, but it's not going to be easy because the Panthers are a tough team.
We'll get you out of here on this, Jimmy. I know you're a huge Vanderbilt football fan. Derek Mason's doing a great job with that defense, but what do we got to do to get some offense over there on West End? Musical quarterbacks and not exactly a stellar effort by Johnny McCurry last week at Florida. That was a game probably Vanderbilt should have had.
Well, Vanderbilt, I'm convinced that if Vandy would have just punted the ball across midfield, they would have won that game. If they just get off a 30-yard punt,
yeah,
they are able to survive a bad day by the offense. But of course, it didn't happen. They played. I love the passion that those guys play with on defense. I'll put that defense up with about anybody by the way they play. And Mason's going to continue to get talented players to help them get better. But they, you got to figure out a way to get things better on offense. It's unfortunate that the offense is at a point where it is right now because they just had not turned the ball over so many times and it just done a little bit more to help the defense. Vandy'd be sitting with about 5-6 wins.
Yeah.
Right now, but I think the offense has got to keep them turn the ball over. Hopefully McCreary or Shermer or whoever it is will be able to improve as the year goes on. Maybe get another win or two this season. But I definitely think that's a football team that's gotten, other than that Houston game that I was witness when I was down in Houston the weekend before last, which was a complete disaster. Other than that game, they've shown a lot of improvement this year, and it's Derek Mason's a guy that easy to root for because you know how much it means to him. You know how invested he is, and you know how hard he's working to try to make it better. But he can't, he can't play quarterback, and he can't, pluck anybody off in free agency to bring him in there. He's got to win with what he's got. And right now, what he's got is not to get the job done.
Well, I know you'll be in the house this week when the Commodores take on Kentucky. Jimmy, we always appreciate the time. Thanks so much, man, and my best to you and the family. Have a great night.
Okay, JB, appreciate it.
All right, Jimmy Wyatt of TitansOnline.com. Again, follow him on Twitter at JWyattSports for all things Tennessee Titans. All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to hear from the man of the hour, Titans interim head coach Mike Mularkey, talking a little bit about last week's win over the Saints and looking ahead to this week against the 8-0 Carolina Panthers, plus your phone calls. Stay with us.